Today for our hike, we're going to be hiking to a place called Margarette Falls. It's about a 3-mile hike. It's listed as moderate on alltrails.com. The strangest thing about this area to me so far is how departed from the rest of the natural climate it seems to be. So it's a very warm day today. It's about 60 degrees, which is pretty weird, honestly, in the mountains in Tennessee. But down under the canopy in the shade, feels like it's dropped about 10 to 15 degrees. It's actually kind of chilly down here. But I was really shocked at the beginning of the path. There was just so much greenery. The rhododendron were everywhere, bright green. We had green moss covering the ground. It was actually kind of beautiful. It made me feel like it was spring or summer, when in fact it's winter, as you can see behind me. All that greenery is pretty much departed. We're out here in the gray trees everywhere. Typical mountain winter, but it's okay. I still love it. But anyway, we're gonna be going about 700 feet in elevation. I think maybe closer to 800 feet, actually, about 775. And the hike's gonna be about 3 miles. So I'll check in with you guys along the way. See you there. So if you didn't believe me that it was colder up here in the mountains, just take a look behind me. I don't think it snowed in 3 or 4 days, and it's still covered up here. It's actually pretty icy out here on these rocks. I gotta be careful when I'm walking up. So we made it up here to Margarette Falls, guys, and it is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. I've never been up here, but I've seen pictures, and I only thought it was going to be about 12 to 15 feet tall, but I wouldn't be surprised if this thing's over 50 feet tall. It's a gorgeous waterfall. It just flows down the mountain, and the walls of it actually kind of look like the walls of Mordor. I kind of feel like I'm standing in Mordor outside the Black Gate for all you Lord of the Rings fans like me. The whole trip in general has been awesome, guys. I didn't know there were going to be so many waterfalls, so many cascades going down. It's really been beautiful the whole way up here. It's the tallest waterfall I've seen here in Tennessee on these hikes. I'm glad you guys got to experience it with me. So we're about a quarter of a mile from the car. Just finishing up the hike. You can see the sun setting on the mountain behind me. The hike today was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was different, for sure. I started out the hike thinking it was going to be extremely easy. I thought thought it might actually be kind of boring because it was really easy. Didn't really require any special equipment. It was basically just walking on a road like we're doing now. But man, as we got into the hike, it became totally different. The start of the hike and the end, as you can see, is very green, very lush with these rhododendron. But then as we went up, it got snowy, it got icy. There were rocks everywhere you had to climb over. I wouldn't say this hike was physically exhausting as much as it was mentally exhausting. And what I mean by that is having all the rocks that you have to watch where you're putting your feet and be careful that you're not slipping on ice or wet mud or anything like that is much more mentally strenuous than physically strenuous because you don't want to fall. You don't want to hurt yourself. And there was quite a bit of that. As I went up the trail, it was very, very slippery, very wet, and a lot of places that you could have fallen and hurt yourself if you weren't careful. Overall, the hike was a little bit more than 3 miles. At least I went a little bit more than 3 miles. I went off the path a few times to get some waterfalls that weren't right by the path. And just a disclaimer, anytime you're hiking, always know your abilities. Always know what you're capable of. Be safe out here. Don't go off the path if you feel like you're not capable, because a lot of times it's more dangerous. It could be wet, it could be slick, especially if you're on the side of water or on some steep rocks. So safety first always when you're out hiking. Make sure you're always keeping yourself safe and don't go above your ability level. Also, another thing when it comes to going off the path, be careful of the vegetation that's around. A lot of times off the path, there could be plants that you don't want to crush, flowers, things of that nature that are really beautiful, and you want to just watch where you're putting your feet. You don't want to break trees that aren't already dead or branches or anything like that. You want to let the natural wildlife kind of, do its thing as far as growing and stuff. You don't want to interfere with that. But anyway, this hike was amazing. I think it was possibly my favorite hike so far of 2019. And we're only in week 5. We got plenty more to come. So I'll see you guys next week.